Dude legs look fresher than a peppermint. RC, explain that tweet.
See, Greeny, you didn't grow up in a young Southern Baptist church, right? And so the one thing about Southern Baptist churches is aunties, grandmas, mothers, they always have peppermints. Sometimes they're pocket peppermints, because you'd wonder, Grandma, how in the hell does your peppermint not have no wrapper on it, but you still eat it because you ain't got nothing else to eat and you've been in church for 4 hours. But that's what Von Miller's legs look like. They look fresher than a peppermint. You know how it is this morning. You ain't been talking. The breath might be a little stale. You pop a peppermint in and you are ready to go. That's what Von Miller looked like last night. He was the fastest player on the field. He was the most energized player on the field. He made the most impact on the Buffalo Bills defense. It's awesome to see what he can do to a team, whether Denver, Los Angeles, or Buffalo. He is a difference maker, and last night was no different than we'd always seen throughout his illustrious career.
We have more on Von Miller coming up a little later in this hour. All right, one more, RC. Here we go. Josh Allen is like an agile freaking tight end. Just stiff-armed that man back to the practice facility. RC, explain that tweet.
Listen, I don't know if you know this, but SoFi and the Rams practice facility are very far from each other. They are not close. And that's where the hell Nick Scott woke up after the play. When you're running up on a quarterback, like if I'm running up on Tom Brady, the first thing I'm thinking is, let me just dive over his head when he slides because I know he's scared. When Josh Allen is running after you, it's like, hell, can I strap my chin strap up a little tighter because I'm about to get into a real-life tussle with a large man. Josh Allen knew he had to get the first down. Nick Scott is actually a trained killer. This is the dude that's about physicality, special teams player. He stiff-armed that man so hard, there were people on the other team that were going to run and try to help him up. There is nothing more embarrassing than getting run over, stiff-armed, or played by a quarterback, unless that quarterback is Josh Allen, because then the rest of the world, your team, and anybody watching gets it, that ain't no regular quarterback. And just in case Nick Scott was feeling a little bad, just fast forward later to when he jumps over Bobby Wagner, sticks the one arm out, rolls around, then comes up smiling because he realizes that one of these things are not the same, and that thing happens to be me.
Outstanding, as always, the tweets. And again, you should be following RC on Twitter if you're not. So all that is great, but hold everything. Because if you are waking up this morning and you're watching this show and you are a member of the hashtag Bills Mafia, there is one thing that you should be very, very concerned about. And Ninko, what is that thing?
That one thing is Josh Allen in contact. He took on a lot of contact in this game. And at one point, I can guarantee everybody in the Bills Mafia, everyone sitting here, they said to themselves, wow, he's been hit a lot today. And he's running the football in the fourth quarter, taking unnecessary contact, when at the end of the day, he basically is the best player on that team. And without him, the Buffalo Bills aren't going to go where they want to go. So they need to make sure, of course, the design runs are great for a quarterback design run because he's big, he's physical, he's stiff-arming people to the facility. So at the end of the game, when you're up, I don't want to see my quarterback taking unnecessary hits. I don't want to see him putting his head down, taking on dudes, getting hit by linebackers, because there were a few times where he got hit in the coconut. I was like, yo, like, you don't need to take those hits.
See, this is the complicated piece of all of this, because what makes him such a dynamic, I feel like we've had this conversation about other quarterbacks. We had this conversation about Cam Newton. We had this conversation about Lamar Jackson. Now we're having it about Josh Allen. What makes him so unique is his ability to do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, Sacho, do his coaches need to get a little bit of this out of him to preserve his health?
No, I don't think they do. I mean, I watched the game too, and I saw the hits, but I was like, man, this dude's just bigger than everybody else. He's stronger than everybody else. And I get we could say, well, you know, what Cam Newton was as well. Like Josh Allen, this is who he is, and this is how he plays. This is what makes him great and what makes him special. So for me, if you try to say, well, let's taper it back a little bit, or hey, on that 3rd and 1, whatever, you know, we're up by a little bit. No, play your game. You've been healthy. You will be healthy. And I just don't like taking away what makes Josh Allen.
I hear what you're saying, and I want everyone just take a moment and focus on these numbers. Only Lamar Jackson, going back to 2018, which, by the way, is the year that both Lamar and Josh Allen were drafted, only Lamar Jackson gets hit more times per game than Josh Allen does. You see Daniel Jones' name in there as well.
But he's a big dude. Like, people don't understand how physically freakish he is. I'm telling you.
The problem with being a big guy, you're a DB, I'm not coming to hit you. I'm coming to hit your kneecaps. And as he's running and guys are trying to jump on his back from behind when he's got pursuit, you got DBs coming in at your kneecaps. There's a couple highlights there. I'm like, like around your legs and ankles and knees. That on turf, especially sticky turf.
17-game season.
It's a long season.
You're thinking Super Bowl.
Okay, 3rd and 1 game on the line. Yeah, go get it. 3rd and 1, we're up 3 scores.
But now you change your mentality.
No. You're trying to make sure that you preserve the talent so you don't have to go to your backup for the rest of the year.
Imagine telling Josh Allen, hey, make sure don't go out there and get hurt.
Be smart. You're saying be smart. Be smart.
Every now and again, you have to lose a battle to win the war. I hear what you're saying. You can't take it out of a guy. Graziano, get in here.
So there's a lot going on here. If you're a linebacker in the NFL and your quarterback's doing this, you're fired up, right? Like you're going to battle with that guy. So that's a big part of Josh Allen's mentality. He knows his teammates feel that way about him, and he knows why. I had a conversation with him last year. I said, any thought to, any conversations with the coaching staff about, backing off the running and that kind of thing? He said, not if that's what we need to do to win the game. I'm all about what we need to do to win the game. I've also talked to the GM and the coach who come from Carolina and were in Carolina when they drafted Cam Newton. They're aware of the beating Cam Newton took, and they do not want the early part of Josh Allen's career to mirror that because they're afraid of the long-term effects. So I do think you'll see the Bills get with Josh Allen and say, hey, keep doing you. But we're in the 4th quarter. We're up a couple of scores. Some of this is a little bit reckless.
Nico.
Maybe we have to pick our spots, or at least pick our spots.
Let me get RC. I have to give RC a chance in on this, Ryan, because again, the tweet was fun. Stiff arming guys to the facility and all that. That's great fun when he gets up and he's fine. But the moment that he does it, it's a concern. How do you see it?
Well, I see it as you have to be smart. Like, think about Kyler Murray, who runs a ton, Lamar Jackson, who runs a ton. And you mentioned that Lamar is the only one that's been hit more with Josh Allen. I want you to show me the film of the time Lamar Jackson has been the runner of the football and he's been hit hard, or he hasn't in some way found a way to lessen the impact of the tackle. Josh Allen doesn't run like that. Like, these two dudes are different, right? Like, one of these dudes is Christian Okoye and the other one is Gale Sayers. And the one that's Gale Sayers ain't Josh Allen. And so Josh Allen, when there's 6 minutes left to go in the game and we're up 31-10 and he's still running the ball and he's taking on 2 defenders, yeah, it's cute. And if I'm on the sideline, I'm fired up, right? But if it's older RC that wants to win the Super Bowl, I'm walking up to the sideline and saying, Josh, slide. We don't need that right now. If you're the coach, Josh, get out of bounds. We don't need that right now. And I think he has to start understanding that. And Acho mentioned that if you do that, you change your mentality. Well, hell yeah, you change your mentality. Like, when Greeny was broke and he didn't have no money, him and Stace wasn't traveling all around the world going to all these fantastic restaurants. They was eating at McDonald's like everybody else. Now that Greeny is rich, he wears red bottoms and he don't eat at McDonald's. You're supposed to change your mentality when you are worth more. That's
so
the whole point.
You want him to go back to McDonald's?
I don't do all this work. So I can still live
as
the
a
same
defender
way.
too, you see that as a defender, a linebacker, you see Josh Allen and you see him running, I'm giving it to him 100%. As hard as I can.
That's the question. That's what I want to ask you, because I understand where you're coming from and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But if you're playing against Josh Allen and he's running at you, what are you thinking?
I'm trying to take him out.
Yes.
You saw Bobby Wagner.
I'm trying to take him
You saw what he
out.
did to Bobby Wagner. You saw what he did to Nick Scott.
And if you're a
You see what he did to every other person
if you're a
in the league.
DB, you're trying to eat his kneecap.
Here's my thing. Here's the thing. If you want me to play different, just take me out. Like, we're up by 2 touchdowns, up by 3 scores, 4th quarter. Take me out.
That's an
simple as
interesting
that.
point.
Doesn't
And
that
you
solve the
wonder,
problem?
There could be some of that
blowing
as well.
people out if they start doing that. I actually, no offense to RC, my favorite tweet was Mina Kimes, who said, pretty unfair, the Bills have a quarterback who is an actual Buffalo. I thought that was pretty good, too.
Fair enough. One way or the other. Spectacular from Josh Allen last night. But I think this is a legitimate conversation, and it will continue. In the meantime, more on this Football Friday about a quarterback of a very different stature, Russell Wilson. Look, he's a Hall of Famer. But has he already played his best football, or is there another level he can take this to in Denver? You will be fascinated by the answers to that question next.